Tyreek Hill in talks to return. Big news coming out of Kansas City. Tyreek Hill has officially started talks to reunite with the Chiefs. If this deal goes through, buckle up, because the 2025 NFL season is about to be one of the most electrifying in history. Imagine Mahomes slinging deep balls to Hill, Kelce owning the middle of the field, and Andy Reid cooking up unstoppable plays. That's not just exciting, that's championship-level football. Get ready for highlight reels, get ready for deep bombs, get ready for a season you won't forget. Chiefs Kingdom, are you excited for the Cheetah to come home? Drop A in the comments if you're ready to watch history unfold. Y'all better brace yourselves, because what I'm about to reveal about Kansas City's generational quarterback is going to send shockwaves across the entire NFL landscape. This man is different now, and every opponent better start praying. Stay glued until the end. Smash that like button. Drop a W if you believe in the Chiefs, or an L if you've lost faith. And make sure you hit subscribe. Let me tell you right now, the National Football League has absolutely no clue what's heading their way in 2025, and I'm here to dissect it for you piece by piece. What's unfolding in Kansas City isn't just a shift, it's a revolution, a seismic transformation that's going to send tremors through every single locker room from coast to coast. You see, there's a profound difference in a man who's been knocked off his throne. But we're not talking about just any man. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes, the golden boy who's been living in a world where success flows as naturally as breathing. But last season changed everything. That gut-wrenching Super Bowl defeat to Philadelphia didn't just sting, it ignited a firestorm that's burning so intensely now, opposing defensive coordinators are probably losing sleep. When you've tasted championship glory multiple times, when you've been the undisputed king, when you've watched the entire football world bow at your feet, and then suddenly find yourself watching another team celebrate on the field that should have been yours, that leaves a mark on a competitor's soul. It reshapes their very DNA. It turns a gifted athlete into something exponentially more dangerous, a man with a vendetta. The reports coming out of Kansas City aren't just interesting, they're downright terrifying for the rest of the league. We're hearing about workout sessions that would make Navy SEALs tremble. We're seeing a quarterback, usually cool and casual, showing up to voluntary workouts as if his life depends on it. This isn't the same Patrick Mahomes who could just coast on natural talent and still torch defenses. And let's talk about that haircut for a second. It might seem like a trivial detail to some, but believe me, it's a symbolic transformation. When a public figure, especially one who's been comfortable in his own skin for years, changes his appearance so radically, it's a statement. It's a battle cry that the old Mahomes died in that Super Bowl loss, and something new and dangerous has emerged from the ashes. What we're witnessing is not just a physical change, it's a mental, emotional, and spiritual rebirth. This is a quarterback nearing 30 who understands that the championship window doesn't stay open forever. No matter how naturally gifted you are, Father Time remains undefeated. Mahomes knows that every season from now on is precious. Every opportunity to stand on that championship stage is priceless. ESPN's Louis Riddick absolutely nailed it when he described Mahomes as pissed off. But even that doesn't fully capture the magnitude of this transformation. This isn't just anger. It's a controlled rage, a burning obsession that forges legends out of mere mortals. When Riddick says Mahomes looks like an assassin, he's not exaggerating. There's a cold-blooded precision in his eyes, a focus that simply wasn't there before. And here's where it gets even more compelling. It's not just Mahomes who's feeling this surge of energy. The entire Kansas City organization is feeding off it. When your franchise quarterback is operating at this level of intensity, it elevates every single player around him. The offensive line is going to block with more grit. The receivers are going to run sharper routes. The defense is going to hit harder, knowing their leader is giving everything he's got. But here's what truly terrifies the rest of the NFL. Mahomes already possessed every physical gift imaginable. The arm strength, the mobility, the football IQ, the clutch factor. Now you're adding a level of mental toughness, an unshakable resolve that comes from staring failure in the face at the highest level and conquering it. You're fusing elite talent with an unstoppable drive, and that combination is absolutely lethal. The Chiefs' front office has recognized the urgency of this moment, and their offseason moves prove it. When you have a quarterback with this kind of fire, you don't waste a single second. You surround him with every piece he needs to get back to the promised land. That's exactly why they snagged Josh Simmons in the first round, a move that screamed commitment. Simmons isn't just another draft pick, he's a declaration of intent. The Chiefs identified a vulnerability in their offensive line and filled it with arguably the best tackle prospect available before his injury. That's the kind of protection that lets a quarterback play at his absolute best. When Mahomes has time to scan the field, when he's free from worrying about his blind side, when he can step into his throws with complete confidence, that's when magic happens. And the timing couldn't be more perfect. The AFC is absolutely stacked with talent, but it's also riddled with uncertainty. Rival teams are battling quarterback controversies, coaching changes, and roster churn. Meanwhile, Kansas City is returning with their core intact, their leader more determined than ever, and upgrades in crucial areas. This is the blueprint for dynasty-level dominance. Dominance. What makes this narrative even more captivating is the arc we're witnessing, a story that transcends the gridiron. It's a tale of human nature, of how true champions confront adversity, of the thin line that separates those who crumble under pressure from those who transform it into a weapon. Mahomes is demonstrating what true separation looks like at the highest echelon. The rest of the league should be trembling because they're not just facing a gifted quarterback on a hot streak, they're up against a generational talent who's been humbled, ignited, and recalibrated. They're facing an athlete who's harnessed the bitter sting of defeat and turned it into fuel for unrelenting domination. This is the most lethal version of Patrick Mahomes we've ever witnessed, and he's surrounded by an organization hell-bent on seizing this opportunity. Every defensive coordinator in the AFC will be forced to devise plans to counter a quarterback playing with unmatched intensity. Every head coach must prepare their squad to square off against a Kansas City team forged in fire and stronger because of it. The Chiefs aren't just coming back, they're coming back with vengeance. The psychological battle about to unfold this season will be unlike anything we've seen in recent memory. When you have a quarterback who's felt the agony of defeat at the grandest stage, who's spent months dissecting every throw, every decision, every heartbreak, you're not dealing with the same player anymore. You're facing someone who's been tempered in the crucible of championship heartbreak and emerged transformed, something far more dangerous. Let's delve deeper into what this metamorphosis means for the Chiefs and the entire NFL landscape. When Louis Riddick points out that Mahomes didn't appreciate what was said about him after last season, we need to grasp the gravity of those words. This is a player who's been lauded, celebrated, and elevated to living legend status. He's rarely tasted real criticism, and when it finally arrived, it hit differently. It hit personal. That's the beauty of this transformation. Doubt and criticism are rocket fuel for the elite. When the world questions whether you still have it, when pundits suggest your best days are behind you, when fans whisper that the dynasty might be dead, that's when true champions rise. That's when the divide between the good and the great becomes undeniable. Mahomes spent the entire offseason marinating in that criticism, letting it saturate every rep, every throw, every sweat-drenched session. While other quarterbacks lounged on beaches or relaxed, he was grinding like his legacy depended on it. While others were coasting through the offseason, he was attacking every optional workout like a rookie fighting for a roster spot. That level of dedication doesn't materialize by accident. It's the byproduct of a man who's been pushed to his breaking point and decided to push back with relentless force. The Chiefs organization must be elated because they're getting the most driven, most focused version of their franchise cornerstone at the most critical moment. This is no longer just about natural talent. It's about willpower, resolve, and an unquenchable thirst for redemption. The addition of Josh Simmons to the offensive line cannot be overstated in this equation. When you've got a quarterback burning with this level of intensity, you must give him the fortress he needs to thrive. Simmons was viewed by many scouts as the premier tackle in the draft before injury marred his collegiate campaign. His slide to Kansas City was the kind of draft day serendipity that championship franchises feast on. Imagine the possibilities. Mahomes with more time in the pocket, clearer throwing lanes, and the best protection he's had in years. Combine elite protection with an obsessed quarterback, and you get a recipe for offensive obliteration. Defensive coordinators across the league are already losing sleep over this combination. But the impact goes beyond X's and O's. Mahomes' transformation has ignited a ripple effect throughout the entire organization. When your leader sets this kind of example with his ferocity and focus, it elevates everyone in the building. Receivers are running sharper routes, running backs are hitting holes with punishing intent. The offensive line is protecting with more conviction. This is how championship cultures are built and sustained. It starts with one player, usually the quarterback, setting a standard that becomes contagious. When Mahomes strides into the facility with that assassin's glare and unwavering resolve, every player takes notice. They know this season is different. They sense this opportunity is rare. They realize this might be the moment to reclaim the mountaintop. The timing of this transformation is perfect for Kansas City. The AFC is a battlefield filled with talent, but also riddled with uncertainty. While other contenders scramble to fill key positions, adapt to new systems, or integrate new faces, the Chiefs are rolling with their core intact, armed with a fortified offensive line and a quarterback who's more motivated than ever. This is the formula for a dominant season. But what makes this saga truly electrifying is the human element at its core. We're witnessing what happens when supreme talent collides with supreme motivation. Mahomes already possessed every physical gift: arm strength, mobility, football IQ, the clutch gene. Now he's pairing those with a level of mental fortitude and unshakable resolve that only comes from experiencing failure at the pinnacle of the sport. This combination is a nightmare for opposing defenses. The league should be on high alert because they're not just facing a Kansas City team loaded with talent, they're facing a team with something to prove. A quarterback who's taken the criticism to heart and turned it into a mission. They're facing an organization that's strategically fortified their roster to support their galvanized superstar. This is the perfect storm for championship glory.